All right, and we're live. This is the Four Collectors channel, and today I got Dustin, sports card dad, and oh him a solid because we're on during the game, man, the Bills and the Chiefs, and it's a good one, right?
It's a wild one. Yeah. It looks like the Bills have the ball. It's 27-24 Chiefs and the Bills have the ball. This is kind of what they do, though. Every
Yeah,
time they play, it's whoever has the ball last, it seems like.
yeah. When you have two great quarterbacks that come in the clutch, I mean, they're always gonna normally deliver right at the end.
Yep.
So who are you rooting for in this game?
I'm going for the Bills. I get it if you're a Chiefs fan. Of course, you're rooting for the Chiefs, but they've just been there so much. If I don't care, then I'm going to root for the underdog. The Bills have been so close, and then you go back in time, the franchise has been, they lost 4 straight Super Bowls in the '80s. Like
Yeah.
I'd love to see the Bills, and like it's like with the Lions. It's a great story. So I'd like to see the Bills get over the hump.
All right. So today I just wanted to catch up with you. Let's talk about hobby. Uh, you know, um, Tell me about you starting off as a collector. What do you remember? When did you start collecting, and where are you at right now?
Oh wow, I didn't know we were going life story today, Caesar.
Yeah, make it short.
I'll do the quick and short version of it. So I think like a lot of people that got back into the hobby over the last little bit, I got back in 2018, and I kind of joke around that it's my midlife crisis got me back in. Could have been worse. Could have been drugs and motorcycles and women, but I went with sports cards in 2018,
Man, you
and
went crazy, huh? You went wild.
yeah. My wife's like, oh, thank God. Yeah, so as a kid in the late '80s, I was there for that, the print it to the moon era. I would say
Mhm.
97 or 87 to 94, is probably when I was in it the most. I was born in 81, so 6 to 13 was probably the sweet spot for me with cards. And everybody, it was like you were strange if you didn't collect cards back then. It feels like.
Yeah, that's definitely for sure. Everybody, I mean, and they were sold everywhere. When I was
Yes.
young, yeah, I was collecting. I was young in the '80s too, and I was collecting like they were everywhere at the gas stations, the liquor stores. Actually, my first job was at a liquor store, and I was working there actually when I was still underage. But the guy let me work under the table. I said until you get your once you turn 16, you can work, you get your work permit, and and get it, I'll pay you legit. And that's when I found out about taxes. Like you get like, hey, sure, what's going on here? And you learn about taxes once you start working under the table there. But yeah, I used to buy all my cards at this liquor store, and the guy offered me a job there. So that's when I was able to start like really buying and not depending on making money from my parents or hustling. You know what I mean?
One thing I remember too, and I'm sure you probably remember this. There was a shift. If you go back like in 1988, 89, you have like 89 Pro Set football, you had like Donruss baseball and tops and all that stuff. But then in the early 90s, you had like Pinnacle. Pinnacle came out with like, and then you had like, oh God, what was the Pro Line Portraits, for football
Mhm.
cards. And it was
Yeah.
just way different than how, we went from just like pretty basic cardboard cards to now all of a sudden you've got it was like the high gloss era. It was like glossy cards were coming in, and the early 90s, it was that. And then action packed, football was one. I
Yeah.
remember it being like $4 a pack, like in 1992 or, 91, 92, and thinking like, I'm never going to be able to. And I remember that Emmett Smith rookie update card
Mhm.
was such a big card. That with the 89 hoops, David Robinson, when you go to like the mall, you go to a card show and you'd have like the hoops, David Robinson, you'd have, of course, like the upper deck Griffey, and then you'd have, the
Yeah.
action packed Emmett. So yeah, I started out back then. And then when I came back in 2018, graded cards was completely foreign to me. I had no idea kind of what was what there. And so that was definitely an education. And of course, you have disposable income as an adult. There's cards that now all of a sudden you can't afford, maybe stretch on some. But I also remember too in 2018, I bought a Jim Brown rookie card for $200. It was a PSA 3. I still have it. But I remember thinking like, oh my God, I just spent $200 on a football card. Like, am I completely insane? You know, um, but that just shows you how far prices have come just in 5 short years. And so yeah, but it's been fun just kind of getting back in, getting reacquainted. I missed 30 years of new card sets, and then going back and learning about vintage. So there's so much going on that it's been a fun ride.
Yeah, I kind of missed out in the 90s, like collecting. Not so much that I didn't collect during the 90s, but I wasn't buying packs in the 90s at all. In 93, I went to Fort Knox for a year, and then I spent 3 years in Kansas. I went to the service. So during those 4 years, it's like baseball cards didn't exist. Like every once in a while, we'd go to somebody's house or visit some other soldier's house and stuff. And like, oh, look at, I have these cards, and oh, and you go through them. But back then, I don't know, when I was a kid, like you had the shoebox. You know what I mean? Like I remember having like 2 or 3 shoe boxes, and like that's it. That's something that you could go through in an hour, 2 hours. So you go to somebody else's house and you could go through their whole collection like pretty quick. But yeah, the 90s definitely was a part where everybody that collected in the 80s, I don't know, they just kind of went away, because it's not like today where you got hits and parallels and all this other stuff. Right. If you were a kid in the 80s, and no matter how big your collection was, compared to today, it was pretty much, I don't like to use this word, worthless, you know what I mean? But it wasn't something that was very valuable. So it's not something like if you were out of it for a while, you just didn't go through. Not like today, like, because I said this before, like I used to apply for a lot of jobs when I was in my 20s, I after the service, I worked at a lot of places or did a lot of interviews at least. And they always ask you, hobby, what's your hobby? Remember, I would always say baseball cards, and like nobody ever asked me anything about it. Oh, okay, that's cool, whatever. And I always wonder, like, I bet you now, if I fill out a bunch of applications and I collect baseball cards, people are like, oh, what's the most expensive one? Like, oh, how much do you have? Something. Or people always bust out, oh, I collected cards in the 80s, how much you think they're worth? And it's like, more than likely nothing.
Yeah, it does. It feels like it's kind of the new, like the antique roadshow, where it used to be like people are bringing in like antiques for them to look at. I feel like the future will be trading cards and collectibles, the pop culture collectibles. Because if you look, I mean, my grandfather passed away on my dad's side going back just a few months, and my dad was saying that he can't give away these antiques, like they're rare, like these rare antiques that everybody would collect, and he can't give them away. And I just thought that was really interesting. But then I think about like, what will our generation, and the next generation, will it be like trading cards or collect?
Well, it's like an interesting thing is it's hard to predict. Like the baseball cards thing kind of was a real steady increase. It was real steady like this. Like you knew they'd be worth a little bit more, but it's like in 20 years, they should be worth this much. But now you have cards that come out and they're worth what, to me in my head, that's what it should be worth 20 years from now. If this guy makes it to the Hall of Fame, if this guy pans out, you know what I mean? But people are now pricing their cards like he is a Hall of Famer. Like you hear that so much now. This guy's a guaranteed Hall of Famer, guaranteed. It's like when you've been watching sports for as long as I have, there's no such thing as a guarantee. Back in the days, we thought Bo Jackson was going to have this greatest 2-sport career.
Yep.
Like those to us were guarantees. Kevin Moss and stuff like that. But they don't always pan out. But it's also interesting, like to say, because also you don't know where it's gonna go. Like say, Beanie Babies, like the Beanie Baby boom, like it was made. The prices were kind of like skyrocketing back then because they were so hard to find. Back then, before there was internet, so they said like, if you had the Princess Diana special edition, only certain people had it in a certain area. The rest of the world didn't have it. But now that you have the internet. You can find them. So like the prices went down because it's easy to find them now, when part of the lure back then was like, you can't find them. Yeah.
Now it's really interesting. You're right. It's like, you can't hide. You actually can find out what's really rare now, but I wonder too, if people, I still do think though that there's certain things that people kind of stockpile and then they kind of just let them out slowly. and kind of, you know, and I'm not like saying anything specific for collectibles, but I have to assume there's people that kind of stockpile certain things. And then if they do get hot, they kind of slowly kind of let them out because they know if they put 20 of them out at the same time, it's going to, you know, bring the price down.
Yeah.
It's what makes collectibles fun. It's just, you know, it's a weird little space. And, you know, it's a good time.
Yeah. I mean, I've collected my whole life. Hot Wheels. I got tubs and tubs full of Hot Wheels. You know, I was into the Pez for a while. Not like the Pez people. Like, did you ever watch that movie about the Pez collectors?
No.
Oh no, you haven't watched it. Oh, you really have to watch it.
Oh, is it a documentary?
Yeah, you really have to watch it. It's so good. I never knew how serious like some Pez collectors were, and how this guy was like going across the world to smuggle them in from where they were made, like into the United States, and like it's really in depth. A really good story about the Pez collecting. But like I said, like I have a lot of Pez like hanging on my ceiling, but nothing like the stuff that I saw on there. But you know, I collected everything when it comes. I used to collect bikes as a kid. Like I wanted one bike of every kind of bike: a 10-speed, a 12-speed, a mountain bike, a beach cruiser, a BMX, you know, a freestyle. I just been collecting my whole life. I'm a hoarder, like, basically. You know what I mean? So when it comes to my cards, it's just another part of my hoarding. You know.
It's funny though. You have a lot of binders there. So just the other day I bought a complete set, probably not of interest to you, I don't think, but 91 Impel Marvel, the complete set. And this was one I used to buy packs as a kid, and the complete set's like 150 cards or something like that. And I like to buy complete sets already in the binder. Like I'll buy them off of eBay. It was I think it was $45 or $50 for the complete set. And I know for some people the fun would be to, you know, complete the set yourself and build it out in the binder. But for me, I'm kind of like, you know, I want to be able to just flip through and look at the set. And I don't necessarily have time to, you know, like buy the packs. And I know some people, they just really enjoy that part. They're going to buy the packs and they're going to kind of, you know, almost like a puzzle. They're going to complete the set because it's simple. You know, it's not like there's parallels or anything. It's just simple set. But for me, I like to just buy complete sets. I've got the same for like 89 Score Football and a bunch of other sets. And I can just look through whenever I want. And it's, you know, it's great.
Yeah. I that's what I'm starting to do. It's, you know, I thought I was gonna be be a set builder forever, but modern day it doesn't make sense to be a set builder. Yeah, it's you got to understand. Like me, I'm still old school. Like I like vintage. I like vintage cards. I like vintage antiques. I like everything. You know, I'm just old school. And say when it comes to this, I like set building, like old school, like same as when I was a kid. But it's coming into a reality where that's not feasible anymore. It doesn't make sense for me to try to spend $1,000 in blasters to try to complete a set. And I'm not a master set collector. You know what I mean? There's you know, in the world of binder set collecting, there's different levels also, just like anything else. You know, I'm not a master set builder. I'm not trying to get every error. I'm not trying to get every parallel, every variation. I just want the base. So being that way, I think it's hard for people to understand is like when I get a parallel, or I get an autograph, or I get a variation, is like, or I get a hit, it's like, oh man, it's just taken away from my base, you know, from getting closer to completing my set.
That's funny. I've heard a lot of people, Victor, rookie card specialist, he says the same thing about just enjoying the base. He enjoys base rookie cards. And he was talking about how he went to, I don't know, the National or a show, and people are just like, oh, it's the base rookie card. Like nobody, it's like everyone's like, oh, it's just the base, you know. And he's like, what the hell what are you talking about? It's the rookie card, you know. But yeah, it's funny how it's shifted around.
Well, it's also because value. I mean, you got to admit that even in the 80s, that was the greatest thing about the rookie card is if you had the 84 Donruss on Mattingly as opposed to the 85 Donruss on Mattingly, there was this huge difference in price. The rookie card was always the most valuable, but the base rookie was always, you know, because that's all there was. There wasn't variation. There wasn't parallels. There wasn't numbered. So that was always the most valuable card regardless anyways. So even if there might be something in the back of your head that's why you're attracted to it, because it's the most expensive one too, also to own if you have it. But it's changed now where the base isn't the most expensive card anymore. You know, you have the one-on-one, you have the, you know, the autograph, you have numbered cards, variations, parallels, everything else. So the base card is no longer, and it's easy to get now because they're even cheaper. You know what I mean? Then, you know, like I remember in the 80s, every rookie card was like $30. Tony Gwynn's rookie card,
Right.
Don Mattingly's rookie card, Roger Clemens, Darryl Strawberry. Like everybody's rookie card was like $30. You know, that was always kind of like a range. Now it's all over the map.
Yeah. And it's tough too, because now everyone's got a zillion rookie cards. You know, even I think it was Splendid Sports was talking about how Adam was trying to get all the Tom Brady base rookie cards. And I think he said there's 43, which I actually thought there was more than that. You know, I mean, but even that, it's like there's 43 base rookie cards. It's still a lot, you know, compared to what it was. So I can understand. I certainly have vintage. My struggle right now and with especially vintage baseball is I'm just trying to decide, like, as far as the price points are concerned, when I want to get in and buy kind of the pick my spots. And I'm just trying to figure that out. Like, is now the time that I want to buy in, or do I want to wait a little bit more and just kind of see if it, you know, if it kind of settles, you know? And I understand that certain cards are more rare and more, you know, the demand is high for certain cards. I mean, Jackie Robinson, how many cards does he have? 9 cards or something, you know? So, you know, he doesn't have that many cards in general, and the demand's already high, you know, so it's kind of like there might not be a great time to try to time it, but that's been my hesitation a little bit with vintage baseball, partly why I've gone like vintage football, like the Bart Starr rookie card, the Johnny Unitas rookie card. And I'm a football card collector. So that's been kind of like priority one, because those are ones that I want to have anyway. And it's like, and they're a little bit less, you know, than the baseball versions of those guys.
So what's your definition of a rookie card?
You know what's weird is, because I was thinking about that too with I'm a Tom Brady collector, and I have, if I look at kind of like the money I put in on Tom Brady stuff, I really like that blue Upper Deck rookie card that he's got. That's he's basically in warm-ups. He's in a Patriots, you know, helmet with the warm-up and everything. I love the look of that card with the blue border and everything. I've got like 4 copies of it that are graded. But I would rather, if I was going to choose between like the Pacific rookie card for him or a 15th year refractor that's numbered, I'd probably go with the Prism, you know, with like the Prism light blue or something. And that's what I've done, really. I've gone with those numbered cards. I do enjoy the 2nd year and the 3rd year and the 8th year, you know, cards. So I have a lot of rookie cards. I have mostly rookie cards, but for the guys that I PC, like Drew Brees, being a Saints fan, and Tom Brady, those 2 guys, I have rookie cards, but I also have a lot of the 15th year refractor thing, because I think it's cool, you know? So I don't know. I'm kind of all over the place, I guess.
Yeah, it's hard. Like with me being from the 80s, so you have people like Darryl Strawberry, where we had 84 tops, and everything else was also his rookies. Like we considered, or at least the way I did in groups, people that I hung out, like, so say with Darryl Strawberry, his 84 Donruss, his 84 Fleer, those are his Fleer and Donruss rookie cards. But when it came to tops, he had the 83 updated, you know, traded version. So that was called XRC back then. You know what I mean? So I would still consider his 84 cards his rookies, but he had you know, back then I just thought it stood for extra rookie. You know, this was an extra rookie.
That's so funny.
More rookie than the other ones.
In the Beckett magazine, the XRC, I thought it was extra rookie card. I thought exactly.
Yeah, that's what I always thought growing up, you know, so that's what I called them. Well, that's extra rookie. It's more than a rookie. It's special, you know. But so I still kind of have that attitude now. But now that there's rules and, you know, MLB and the Player Association got together and try to define one. But then you have Tops themselves breaking their own rookie rules, you know, when putting their logos on some cards. So it's like, come on, man. So,
well, how do you do it? You know, or do you buy the new product, or are you more focused on vintage, or, you know, your favorite team or players? Like, do you buy the new stuff, or?
I especially through the dollar boxes. I love going through dollar boxes. I mean, I collect football too. Let me see. I think I have one right here. Oh, where are you at? Hey, I have this Joe Burrow right here. I mean, I buy everything. With I got football. I mean, I don't buy really soccer and hockey, but
Yeah,
basketball,
neither.
football, everything. Yeah, I buy it all, but I'm mainly a baseball guy. I try to focus on baseball and get my baseball kind of things done, and then move on to football and basketball and stuff like that. Like
Yeah,
I
go
got
ahead.
a bunch of binders. I have tons of football sets from the 80s and 90s.
Yeah,
And the thing is, with those sets, the football sets, they're so much smaller. You could fit 2 or 3 sets per binder. You know what I mean? It's not like baseball where it takes a whole binder up.
yeah, yeah. I didn't realize that. I didn't think of it like that. I don't have any baseball sets. Baseballs, I've kind of just picked like the guys from the '80s that I like. I've got Bo Jackson stuff, and I've got some Greg Maddux. I like I just like Greg Maddux, but it's like just a sea of because I also collect. It's like you. I mean, I collect. Hell, I've got Mad Ball. I've got like sealed Mad Balls from the '80s.
Yeah, those are cool.
I look for like the packaging. The packaging, I want them in the package. I do have a couple that are out. Hold on, let me see if it's over here. Oh,
That's one of the things that people don't understand about toys. Like I'll have people come up to me say with the mad ball that's chewed up.
like Thundercats lunchbox, like all the random '80s stuff.
Yeah, right. With toys, the packaging has a lot to do with the value, right?
Yeah, and I know it's more expensive to get it in the packaging, but it's also the memory of the packaging. It's like great. I've got graded video games as well. I only buy NES and Atari, the original NES and Atari. But the reason is because, when I look at like, the box, hold on. Like here's a sealed copy of Faxanadu, which this is kind of a niche game. Like you might have played it, you might not have. It was kind of like a Final Fantasy, like esque game. This is a sealed copy, but the box art on the games is what I care about. So yeah, I have to pay more for it, but you can also get loose stuff. You don't have to buy it graded. I just buy them graded just so I know what is what. But I just pick my spots with that stuff too, and also for display purposes. I like to be able to display these.
Do you ever buy them with empty boxes?
No, I haven't.
I just thought about where you went to the Tops 2020 during COVID.
Yeah, yeah. I
Like,
wasn't big into it. I bought some of it, but I
yeah,
actually enjoyed the cards. I thought they were pretty cool. The art, is that what you mean?
yeah.
The 2020?
I'd buy whichever ones I like. I wasn't trying to
Yeah,
get the whole set or anything, but when I see some I liked, I buy them. But I remember that people were sending me out, because I was in a Facebook group for Tops 2020, and people would DM me like, "Hey, I'll buy your boxes of you." They would want to buy the boxes for like $20 each, $30, just the box, empty, without the card. Because I guess when they got theirs, they threw the box away, and then it was more valuable to sell them with the boxes. So people were trying to buy the boxes, but people were also selling the empty box. You
okay.
know,
Yeah, the graded game market is kind of interesting because this is a sealed copy, but there's also CIB, which is complete in box. So you're buying it with the box, the manual, and the cartridge. And so, part of that is so that I guess what's what. That's the manual that goes with that game, that goes with that, like it's all that's the kind of the point of getting it that way, because a lot of people will kind of mix and match. And what's valuable for the games, I suppose, valuable is it like the first print or the second, like is it first release, second release, third release? And for like NES, it might have released a game in May of '85,
yeah,
and in July of '85 there was another series. And so like that first print, or like this, the sticker seal, the hang tab, that's what people are after. They want those early versions. That's kind of fun. Yeah, it's kind
yeah.
of
It's kind of like a book, right? The print runs, the
Yeah,
first.
exactly. Like first edition books. Yep,
Yeah,
exactly. And games have like prototypes where, like the really expensive Mario game, the NES is like the version they sent over is like a test game that wasn't to the public. It was basically for
yeah,
them to try out, for game testers to try out. So there's
yeah.
some cool history there.
I watch. I mean, I back when it was still on current. I used to watch a lot of Pawn Stars, and you'd see like every once in a while people come in with the prototype toys. Somebody actually came in with, I think, Thundercats 3-wheel, and it was a prototype that was never circulated, so it was like in
Oh,
great shape.
that's really
Yeah.
cool. The
All right.
one
So what's the update on the football game right now?
I just checked, and it looked like the score was the same, 27-24 Chiefs. The Bills have the ball on their 40 with 7 minutes to go.
All right, so we'll try to wrap this up so you can watch the end of it.
I
Real
feel
quick,
bad. I feel bad because I didn't, like,
no, it's fine.
if we had known it was going to time up with one of the big playoff game, we could have done it differently. But I'll come back
Okay.
maybe if you want me to.
Yeah, for sure. Real quick, so let's talk real quick about the YouTube Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
If you could change, if you were in charge and you had your criteria to get in and the voting and all that, what rule changes would you make? Like, how would you run it?
Scrap it, start over. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
No, it's fine. It's just a simple question. I probably have the same answer, to tell you the truth.
No, I don't. I think that it was started in good fun and like in good faith. I kind of just like to poke at it because I just like to poke at it, and partly too because people that are involved in it have poked at me over time, and so this is kind of a way for me to poke back, and it's just fun. I mean, I know that like I made a video a year ago that was like, oh, you should have this many this and this many that or whatever, but I mean, a lot of it.
So honestly, like, what would you do? Okay, I'll tell you mine. Like me, I remember before it started, and Baseball Collector called me up asking my opinions. He's like, hey, I got this idea, and when he told me like things like back then it was 1 year of making videos to get in, and I was just like, wait, well, this is my thought of thinking because I'm comparing it to the Baseball Hall of Fame. I'm like, well, you should at least have like 3 years because back then, from my experience, this was like what 2018, I think, or something like that, 17. And I had been watching YouTube back then for like a few years already, and I was like, I noticed that a lot of people's YouTube career, at least back then, the average was like 2 years. I said, seems like a lot of people make videos for like 2 years and then something happens and they just disappear. I said, so I think a lifetime would be like 2 years and then one more year, like, the time to get in. I was, my thinking was comparing it to a real Baseball Hall of Fame.
Right.
But
yeah.
He was like, no, we're going to have it 1 year. I still think it should be at least 3 years. Well, I think it is now. But I used to think back then, now I think it should be even longer. But the thing with YouTube is nobody's going to know these guys that we're talking about, that aren't making videos anymore. Because, right, the Hall of Fame is people that don't play anymore. So I used to think, well, YouTube should be the Hall of Fame should be people that don't make videos anymore. Because back then, that was like very common. So many people came and went. But at the same time, it's not the NFL, it's not the NBA, it's not Major League Baseball, where you're still getting up. You'll still see plays and people talk about the players from the past. On YouTube, you're not watching videos of people talking about people who don't make videos anymore all the time, So people wouldn't even know who they are. So I understand that.
And I know that the YouTube Sports Card Hall of Fame is just a play on words of, it's not like a lot of people have kind of like come back at me like, hey, it's not a real Hall of Fame. It's super fun, but I'm taking it I'm taking it literally. It's like you called it a Hall of Fame, so I'm going to act like it's your Hall of Fame. So, and that's why I bring up statistics and that sort of thing. But that's
exactly though.
That's just that's for fun though.
Yeah, but exactly that's what I could foresee. Like when he was telling me, yeah, dude, 1 year to get in. And back then was anybody can vote. Was anybody can vote. And I was like, well, in the Hall of Fame, you have a committee. Maybe the people should vote on who the committee is. And then those people decide who get, that's kind of my thought of thinking. But he was like, no, I want everybody to be involved. This is open to anybody, so it can't be rigged and this and that. And I was like, that's asking for trouble. You know what I mean? And it was. So I think it had a lot of flaws to begin with. But at the same time, back then, YouTube was so much smaller. The card community was so much smaller.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
It's probably hard to imagine for people who came in after 2020. People like Sports Card Investor, all these breakers, that didn't exist. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That didn't exist back then.
If it was called like, and I can't think of I was trying to think of like an award that is, or like a synonym for basically like a peer award, like where your peers are voting for you. if it was called, and I'm trying to think of what that would be, you know, where your peers are voting for you, like People's Choice Awards or something like that. But if it was named that, then I wouldn't really have a leg to stand on with, you know, like, but because it's called Hall of Fame, then it's like, oh man, well, and a lot of the folks are baseball collectors. So, you know, they're baseball card collectors. So then it's like, oh man, you're just opening it up. You know, it's like look, if you're voting for the Baseball Hall of Fame for actual baseball players, it's all about statistics. It's all about your career and your stats. And so then I was like, okay, well, I can kind of use this as like a fun debate thing.
Yeah, well, it's not only that. And me, I support this. I play along. It's not something that I started, so it's not mine to run. But I play along and I support it, you know, and I don't talk. But yeah, those are things that I always objected with. And because like of the voting, like say the first year and second year that we voted, you know, you did a good job with your video today while talking about in your ballot video. And back then, people would make half-hour longer videos just talking about the people they're voting in. Like, that's what it was all about, which was easier because the community was so much smaller. It was so small back then. So you could watch everybody's videos and everybody would tell you why they're voting for this person. But then there'll be people like, oh, I'm voting for him because he sent me a nice care package. Oh, you know, I was like, wait, this should not be Hall of Fame. The reason why people are getting voted into the Hall of Fame, you know what I mean? Once you started doing that. So yeah, it has its flaws, but like I said, it's just a game and it's silly to get riled up on it. So it's something I participate in. I think it's fun, but it is a popularity contest, you know, with everybody within. So I think it's kind of cool that you're kind of getting involved, and we'll see where it goes from here. You know what I mean? Because you're going to probably open it up to a whole other group of people, and so it won't. I hate that people call it the good old boys, whatever, the good old boys network. And I was like, wait, that's not us. Like, but yeah, it's all good.
It's also kind of fun. It's an election year in the U.S., so it's kind of like and I'm using like the outsider. You know, I'm the independent candidates. I'm playing into. Look, at the end of the day, I know I do like a serious face, and I've got Air Force plane clips flying in the video or whatever, but I'm just I'm trying to entertain. That's really like, I'm having fun. You know, that's, I know it might come across as a very serious video or whatever, but for me, it's just kind of a fun thing. I don't look at the, I don't look at it as stupid or anything like that. I think it's a cool idea. It's just, you can kind of, there's like ways you can kind of poke holes in it, you know, as like a newcomer coming in. And like you said, it was created during a time when there just wasn't as many participants creating content, or even, you know, on YouTube. I mean, if you go back to 2019, 2018, I mean, like you said, there just wasn't a lot, like much smaller community. And now it's a much larger one on the content side. Yeah.
I remember like back then, people who got 1,000 views in the card community, to us that was viral. Like, whoa, you went viral, you got like 1,000 views. Now everybody gets 1,000 views.
So 4-leaf cards, I'll just respond to him. He says, so if you have 10,000 subs but don't interact with anyone else, then that's not really performing at a high level in the community. I understand what you mean, but I guess kind of my main point with some of the newer channels, or even some of the older ones that maybe aren't known, is there's a variety of communities. So when you say like at a high level in the community, you might be thinking about your community and your group, but there is all these different pockets of content creators that, you know, I've got kind of like my friends, and I've got friends in other groups. It is kind of like high school, you know. It's
it's very cliquey. It's very cliquey. I'll never say no to that.
So, I mean, look, there's channels that have way more subs than I do. They're in a completely different part of the hobby. They're doing completely different things. But, you know, so I guess that's kind of my main point. Just lots of different communities. And that's why I think this is kind of fun to open it up, and just maybe there is more people that will get involved in it. And maybe not. You know, maybe not. Who knows? Yeah,
but that was also kind of like a criteria, was they wanted it to be people who participate and comment and make videos and that's what it was supposed to be about, and interact. But like I said, the community was so much smaller then that everybody in the community interacted. Now it's so big. Now there's so many different cliques, groups of people, like, you know, It's all the flipper channels, all the investor channels, all the watchdog channels. There's so many clicks now, and you might watch them, and you don't think they deserve to get into YouTube because they don't interact with you, but
Right.
they have thousands of subscribers too that they have their clique that they interact with. So I can see how people view us as, oh, like you got to be in their group to get in, and I agree with that because it was something that was started in this pocket of the community.
I think something that kind of stinks too. If I look at kind of my activity on YouTube, I watch a lot of videos of the people that are in this community. You know what Four Leaf Cards is talking about, and even outside of this community. But I don't comment very much. So I probably watched a lot of videos for certain people, but I'm not. But then I also don't want to put like just great video just to show that I watched it. Maybe I should start doing that, but I almost feel like that's even more lame.
Yeah, that is true.
Like if I'm just like cool or a great video and then I leave it, like, yes, it shows I was there and it's engagement. So you know that I watched it, but it's also kind of like, you know.
Did you watch it?
Yeah, I could have just showed up just to like comment for a second and then leave.
Yeah, because you and then you could do the cheating thing like Flemington used to do back in the day, where he would just go to somebody's video, read the comments, and kind of repeat the comment and go to another, so that way he could pretend like he watched everybody's videos.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's tough. We all have busy lives. So, you know, it's like you're never going to make everybody happy.
Yeah.
My thing with this is just, it's kind of like what I said. I've had people that are in this community that have poked fun at me. And so this was kind of like a very easy for me, just based on the fact that it's called the Hall of Fame, because it's a lot of baseball card collectors. It made it kind of a wide open, easy thing to poke at. And it's just, and look, I'm just having fun. I don't think that it's dumb, or I'm not trying to make fun of it. I think it's cool. I think the whole idea around it is cool, but I guess kind of going back to what Four Leaf was saying, I think there's a disconnect that people don't realize. There's a lot of groups out there. It's not just this group or that group. There's a lot of subgroups that don't know each other, don't, you know, interact that much. So that's just something that, you know, I wanted to bring in.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you kind of had a turnaround on how you feel about it, because you weren't very happy about it a year ago too. But hey,
Yeah.
Hey, good luck to you. You know, and everybody watched Dustin's video. He put his ballot in. He put a lot of time into that video. So, you know, kudos to you.
My wife was like, "What is?" Because normally I can like put a video together in about an hour and 15, like start to finish with editing, and with all the like that was a long video for me. And she's like, "What are you doing? Like, what are you've been up there for like 3 hours?" So yeah, I wanted to be good. I wanted to be, because there's so many good channels, and I missed channels too. I know I did, but
that's one of the things I hate about the ballot is like,
yeah, you're gonna miss people.
Yeah, you're gonna miss people, and people are gonna. It's like, what am I supposed to do with it? You know?
Yeah, it sucks, but yeah. So I let me just, for the record, I don't think that it's stupid. I don't think it's dumb. I think it's a cool idea with maybe some flaws in it, but it's not my business. I didn't start it. I'm just trying to kind of like weave my way into it, and at the same time poke at some of the folks, and you know, that's just what I do. But it's not personal or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, I get you. But all right, guys, let everybody get back to the football game. All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. Love the hobby and keep collecting baseball cards forever. Thanks, Dustin.
Thanks.